Hello guys, welcome to the first episode of the tutorial where I will kind of go through Eclipse Studio. In this first tutorial I won't do much. I will just go through system and options because there's a few things you should pay attention to right there. Also, well, now that I see this, my studio is not in the right resolution, so this would be a good chance to show you how you can change that. Basically, go to documents. Of course there will be a lot of different folders depending on what studio you have. Since I have the old DayZ studio, my settings are in documents, but they're in documents. What you're looking for is gamesettings.ini. You can just search that in documents. Okay, you see all these kind of functions here. Pay attention to R full screen 0. That's for defining whether it's full screen or not. So I'm gonna edit height and width to 1080p since I changed my resolution. Okay, that's about it. Save and quit. We start this studio again, and there we go. It's full resolution as it should be. Okay, I'm gonna go through level editor. You will see all kinds of live maps depending on what game you have. Editor maps are, as you can see, for character, particles and physics. There are a few server tests and stuff like that. Now I'm gonna create a new map for the sake of the tutorial, and I'm gonna make it test map. Okay. Check that it has terrain, and always create terrain v2 because it's more optimized. Now, terrain size. I believe that Colorado is made on 2048, which is big. And now there's splat map size that defines for quality, not only like even all the terrain and textures, both of those. And I'm not gonna make this map this big. I'm gonna make it 512. Now there's one thing you should pay attention to is cell size in meters. One cell, and there will be 512 times 512, which is okay. There will be this many cells on this kind of map. You can just multiply it to see. Basically, with the 2048 and having cell size on 7.5, I could get the map that size of Chernerus. And if you ever played Arma or DayZ, you know how Chernerus is huge. So just having big resolution of this does not mean that it will be a big map. Well, it will be bigger if you have cell size meter 1, that's for sure. But for optimization purposes, I could easily make map that's 512 and has 4 meters. I would get the same effect as having this. So I'm gonna make a map that's this and 3 meters cell size. Splat map size, you could go with quality over performance, because this doesn't take much of performance of your PC or any other PCs, but I don't suggest going over this or even this. I'm just gonna leave it to 512 here. Terrain height. It's pretty much self-explanatory. I suggest putting it like to 20 or so would be a good idea. So if you have ocean or something like that on 20 meters, you can just go up and down from it. This will always happen, the art bug. When you create a new map for decals, you can just ignore it. And now here we are in the empty studio. This is invisible, so I'm just gonna there it is. Terrain, you will probably have a blank texture. I don't, so yeah. Okay, as I said, I'm gonna go through the options. First, system settings. Okay, save map saves current map. That's obvious. Save global will save current settings for basically if you make changes to light and if you save it to global, every time you start something new it will have those kind of settings. Now on the camera Z near, it's 0.5 now, and this would actually result in some visual clipping, let's say. I'm just gonna put a building here so I can show you what exactly do I mean by that. I'm gonna have to spawn myself in. Okay, F6 is map editor, F7 is particle editor, F8 is in-game testing. Although this is not a server, so if you can test zombies and stuff like that. Okay, let's just wait for this to load. Okay, there we go. Now as you can see, if I were to go in first person and I approach the wall, this would happen. I would be able to see through walls, and this can easily be fixed by putting cameras in here to 0.2, which is a thing you should always do. As you can see, I cannot see through the wall now. This might have been changed in the newer version of the code, but it's good to know. Camera Z far, it's exactly the opposite of this. As you can see, it's enormously huge. Because if I were to put, I don't know, like 500, it is the maximum render distance of anything, not the whole world. I'm gonna put that back to 64K. It's not really important because optimization purposes shouldn't be handled with this. Now for the map, obviously this enables or disables terrain. Draw collision meshes will draw pink outline from all meshes. If you happen, I don't know, let's put this mesh again. Now if I were to enable this, this is what makes the object have collision. If it didn't have this, I could just walk straight through it. That's what happens to all new models. That's why we need to make the collision mesh in physics editor. Okay, enable physics debug and draw player only. Not much of a... oh shit, I made a bad thing. You see, enable physics debug will also start showing terrain collision, and drawing these can be a really bad thing for anyone with medium, even high end PCs, because it's very slow and very laggy, and I can turn it off right now. Come on, turn off. I'm clicking and I'm trying to turn it off, and I guess I'm gonna have to. Okay, so as I said, don't turn it off. I actually had to stop recording, quit the thing, and oh well. Disabling physics is pretty much obvious. There won't be no physics. And I'm trying to spawn myself back in game, and there we go. Of course, collision will still be there. This physics is about models that are movable. Let's say if you drop a can of ham, it will just drop down to the floor. With this, it won't. Occlusion queries are, well, something related to ambient occlusion. I don't know much about that, so I'm just gonna leave it off. Same for this. Enable trees and grass is pretty much obvious. Split grass render may improve a bit quality performance, but for quality purposes you can just turn it off. Box, no idea. Also this, it doesn't really have much of an influence. I didn't notice it. Instant particles, that's, I guess most of you want work with particles, and I didn't, so this I don't care about this. Detail radius has, I don't think it has any effect actually. It might be for like decals and stuff like that, but I don't know. Simulate day and night is pretty much self-explanatory. I can just press this button and the time will go, depending on how many seconds I want it to be. Okay, that's it for map. Shadows. Optimize shadow maps. These two are for optimization purposes, of course. Now, if I were to uncheck this, you can actually notice that with this there is actually shadow. However, it's far from optimized because every one of my movements, oh, it's not visible quite here, but every single one of my movements will remake the last shadow, remake the whole shadows. With caching the last shadow slice, it will be a bit more optimized because it will only update like once or twice per like 2-3 seconds. Show shadow scheme is basically for this. This is where the sun is, and the shadows are falling here. That's pretty much all there is to it. Now I won't go through this because, well, I think it's kind of obvious. There's a lot of things here and they're not quite important. FXAA, shadow blur, and shadow blur, they're pretty much self-explanatory. They're giving the kind of better effect for shadows, although these can take drain for frame rate quite a lot. And this doesn't matter really. As you can see, I actually have to set up shadows to medium for this. Come on, where are the shadows? Not really, where are the shadows? I'm gonna put lightning to 3. Maybe now they'll show up? Well, nope. Ah, there they are. They're like this because I still have last shadow cached. As you can see, they are proper now, but my game is running on 30 frames per second. That's why it's not so good. It's not much better this way either, since I have medium settings. I'm mostly playing low. So that's pretty much it for this part. Miscellaneous. Okay, default distance. This is for culling, objects culling. Culling is basically, if I were to put this to 100, okay, 200, and if I went to 200 away from meters from the object, and it would be invisible. And that's all there is to it. It does not affect humans, as you can see, players. So you can see players across large distances without that actually having to come closer to them. You can use this for optimization purposes. Depth pre-pass, no idea. My guess is it affects blur, not blur, depth effect, area something. And it has multiple settings, and I never really tested with this, so I have no idea what this actually means, and I don't know what this means either. Maybe it's for objects or something like that. Okay, mouse smoothing is pretty much self-explanatory, although it's the biggest pile of shit you can ever put in your game. Ever. Don't ever turn on mouse smoothing. Turn it off. Oh. Yeah, always turn it off. Render bias. Quality. You can easily set quality to really low, and this is what actually defines when textures are gonna be, let's say it good. It's for like, it's kind of anti-aliasing, but only for walls and stuff like that. For optimization purposes, you don't have to have this on extremely high, you know. Spread increase, decrease, minimum, just as it sounds. It affects spread. Most of my bullets are mainly going into same direction, and if I were to put this on maximum, You get the point. So just leave it on minimum. Display MIP levels. Most of you know, I hope you know, that there are multiple layers of textures, and this is the way they shuffle. So the red is the biggest resolution texture, yellow is medium, and white is the lowest resolution, and this is quite effective for keeping performance and memory. Fill with checker tile. All models are filled with checker tile. Texel density, no idea, doesn't do anything. Oh, this too, maybe it's for light when you actually have objects. Depth screenshots, no idea. Options, they are pretty much self-explanatory. You mostly know all about this already. I'm just gonna go through details a bit. Mesh quality has no, I never seen it affects anything, so whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Texture quality will improve or decrease lower texture quality, although this texture quality does not actually mean terrain. Now if I were to put this terrain on tile factor to 300, I guess, as you can see, it's still pretty horrible. I'm actually going to use another texture. Okay, this is fine. It's horrible, and I can modify this by changing terrain quality, although this goes in more detail right here. I can put tile vertex size to 1 and maximum resolution, and now it's kind of decent. Yeah, tile vertex size for terrain is basically the one that sharpens texture the most, as you can see. Although for optimization purposes I don't recommend putting it on really high, because it may cause your studio to lag quite some bit. Back to settings. Water quality. Lowest water quality does not have specularity or far tile. Let's just spawn some ocean, then we can see how it actually affects. As you can see, this is on low, it has no reflection, and it only has the close tile, which is a bit laggy. I mean, it's not laggy, it just skips frames to be more optimized. Now if I were to put this on medium, I would get light reflections. Of course, this is also influenced by lightning. As you can see, it does give a bit better effect. This is still choppy, as you can see, and still doesn't have a far tile. And if I were to put it on high, I would get the far tile, which is not really visible here, and more optimized and fluid water. Also I'd get the stochastic something, I'm not sure what it's called. Let me put this to 1 meter, maybe it will be visible here. Yeah, these lines are on the bottom, because on medium, as you can see, water, they are laggy, choppy, and on low they're gone. Okay, shadows quality. 0 is static cached shadows, 2 is low quality, well, medium quality shadows, high quality, and ultra. Ultra is basically same as high, it's just a bit more optimized. Well, quite contrary, it's less optimized, and it introduces shadow blur, which will take down your FPS quite a bit. Next, lighting quality. Lighting quality on 2 enables post-processing, post-effects, color correction, and specularity. Lighting on 3 just improves those things. Particles, not much of a difference, because particles aren't really used much. Okay, for the fire, maybe yes, for the fire, and it will just give a higher resolution and it won't look so choppy. Decoration quality is for grass. Decoration quality on 1. With decoration quality on 1 you cannot edit grass. As you can see, you need to please set the decoration quality to at least 2 to paint grass. so you have to use this on 2 or 3 to actually work on the map. Now next is anti-aliasing. It is for the choppy edges or jagged edges. I'm trying to okay, you can see it pretty good like this, these choppy lines. If I were to put anti-aliasing to high, they would be a bit smoothened out. You can see the difference here, how they get smoothened out a bit. Not much, but just a bit. And isotropic filtering defines how good things will be rendered at distance, although as far as I've noticed it does not really affect terrain. Actually, as you can see, it does a bit. You can see changes on the building, on the side, on the bricks. Always use this on max. It's not really much a frame killer, although most effect it has on trees and grass. Post-processing, well, this is low post-processing, medium and high obviously, and it just gives all kind of different settings like film grain, motion blur, bloom, guard rays, etc. Ambient occlusion too. And SSAO is for soft surface ambient occlusion, I believe, and this is it, the shadowing, the indirect shadows of objects, which is not really my thing. This is water actually. Okay, and this pretty much, yeah, when you want to save settings for them to load every time your game loads, you have to click save settings. It will not save just by saving the map or saving globally. You have to click this. Okay, this pretty much ends up the settings, and in the next video I'll start with terrain and things like that until I finish up everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you like this boring video. Well, it was boring, it was just an introduction and explaining all kinds of different things. I really didn't do anything useful, but yeah, in the next videos that's gonna get better, because I'm gonna start actually working on the map a bit. Again, thank you for watching and take care.